Honestly, I would not have even bothered with the rest of the food. Like, I would have just brought, again, two protein bars, three cheese cracker sandwich packs. I would have taken the L on eating that day. I keep saying that video games and video game consoles are still a better long-term investment for leisure activities and such compared to going out and doing other things. I mean, it's okay to enjoy those every now and then, but video games are generally the best ROI on leisure activities because you can get more hours out of it than dollars spent. That's why I want to read and react to this Wall Street Journal article. Is Disney World on the cheap still any fun? By Jacob Passy. Now, I think I've mentioned this on the channel before. I've been to Disney World twice, once in 2006 and once in 2013. 2006, I went to all four of the parks. 2013, I went to all of them except Animal Kingdom. I think I'll bring up my personal experience with Disney World as we go. I don't know how much it was at the time, but I know that we did cut some corners, like bringing our own food to eat, at least the second time around. The first time around, I was 9. I'm pretty sure we still did the whole. Because that was the focus of the entire trip. 2008, it was. I mean, 2013, it was me and my siblings and my mom taking a rental car down there from my grandparents' place during our week-long trip there. But anyway, before we get into the article, be sure to comment down below your Disney World experiences and if you think the price was worth it at the time. Just how magical is a frugal day at the Magic Kingdom? I sought to answer that question on a recent visit to Disney's flagship theme park at the Walt Disney World Resort near Orlando. The price tag of a Disney vacation has soared in recent years. A one-day ticket can set a visitor back more than $200 after tax on the most crowded days. I can tell you right off the bat, if I'm spending that kind of money on admission to somewhere, I am staying there from open to close. Like, I don't care how worn out I get, as long as I have somewhere to sit down between things or if I'm waiting in line. Like, I will actually skip eating that day just so I can go on as many rides as possible. The only line I'll draw is I'm not going to risk my safety if I have a hard time fitting in there because of my height or weight. Like, I didn't have that problem when I was 16 and I was already pretty overweight by then. But yeah, I think there are reasonable concerns to be had as there are reasonable concerns to be had about that. Again, I would not pay that kind of money to go to a theme park unless I knew I could fit on every single ride, at least the ones that were meant for adults, safely and enjoy them. Today, since I wear my glasses, that is the only way I would ever consider contacts at this point. So I don't have to carry these around and put them away for every single ride, and then you get the idea. Parks that were once free either now cost money, including services that let you bypass long lines for popular rides, or were eliminated entirely, like the now defunct Magical Express airport shuttle. We took that airport shuttle back in my day, 2006 when I went there. I remember we took that. I can remember that much. As for the other parts of it that they mentioned, perks that were free that now cost money. Lightning Pass, I think it was called. Used to be able to just get a reserved spot to come back later. That was a thing I remember from 2006 and 2013. But yeah, they eliminated the airport shuttle. Well, I guess Uber's a thing now, so there's that. But it would still be a nice thing to have as part of the park admission. Or if you're staying in a Disney hotel. Even Disney executives are worried that eye popping prices could begin to alienate would be visitors. This summer, they're rolling out some steep discounts on tickets and hotel stays. Disney says paying for parks isn't necessary to have an enjoyable day at its theme parks. I challenge that assertion by visiting the Magic Kingdom on a busy day and keeping my spending in check. I didn't pay for line skipping lightning lane passes. For food, I primarily opted for snacks I brought and quick service meals over more expensive sit down restaurant options. That is definitely a situation where I would be completely right to bring two protein bars, one for lunch and one for dinner, and cheese cracker sandwiches to last me the day. I probably would have eaten breakfast before I arrived. I don't know what time Magic Kingdom opens at these days. But again, if I'm paying $200, I am definitely staying there from open to close. To make sure my day reflected the average family's bucket list Disney itinerary, I surveyed 10 travel agents who specialize in theme park vacations to create a list of 10 must do attractions. Ultimately, I checked everything off that list during a fun yet grueling 15-hour day that required waiting in lines for more than 7 hours. Geez, nearly half the time is just standing in line. I really hope you had good phone games or the queue was somewhat interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would spend 15 hours there if I were to get my money's worth, but half of that is just standing in line. I mean, I know this is a busier day, but still, God. I went at a pace that may not be feasible for many families. Plus, having visited Disney World countless times, I can navigate the parks better than most. Yeah, I can tell you right now, That is definitely the case, even if everyone's older. The first time we went, I was 9 years old. My sister was 7, and my brother was 6. My memory's a little blurry on how much time it took to get around, but I can definitely tell you from my experience when I was 16 in 2013, my sister being 14 and my brother being 13. Yeah, that's how old we all were. I can safely say I felt slowed down by my siblings and my mother. And also, I couldn't just do everything I wanted to do on my own. For example, I could not ride Star Tours enough times to see every possible combination of events, which I really wanted to do, but unfortunately, I only got to ride it 4 times that day. I haven't been back since. It's probably way different now with all the Disney Plus editions factored in. Honestly, I don't see myself willfully going back there because one, Disney's run Star Wars into the ground as an intellectual property, and two, I'm not one for theme parks like I used to be. Well, I never really was a huge theme park guy. I only ever went to Disney World those 2 times. Plus, the ROI just isn't there in my opinion. I would feel weird in character meetups because even though I know I could just go along with it, in the back of my head I would be like, I know that this isn't real. This is not really Merida. This is not really other Disney character. I don't know why I randomly pulled out Merida. For those of you who don't know, she is the protagonist in Brave, Pixar movie. Actually, it was one of the first to use Dolby Atmos. You know, I'm getting off topic. Let's get back to the article, see how. What was his name again? See how Jacob Passy managed to spend, overspend, despite keeping his spending in check. Pay to play. Before I set foot inside the Magic Kingdom, I was out hundreds of dollars. Price of admission varies, with more popular days costing more money. I visited the week before Easter, so my ticket came at a premium, nearly $365 after tax for a 2-day pass. On a per day basis, a 1-day ticket would have cost even more. Does that include the hotel? I'm going to assume not. Like, I would hope that included the hotel, assuming Jacob here isn't a local. Like, that's still a lot of money for a local who could go over there, have their fun one day, then go home, and then come back the next morning, though. Assuming you stay open to close the first day, you're not going to enjoy the second day all that much. Unless you, like, drink a gallon of coffee on your way over there. Geez, that's just starting to sound more like you really gotta get your money's worth. Sounds more like a get your money's worth challenge than actually having fun. Pro tip, visit on a less popular day than to accomplish more and spend less. Starting price of a one-day ticket to Disney World is $119 in August and September. This summer, Disney World is offering a discount on 3-day passes that grants admission to the resort's other theme parks, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom. At $267, those tickets break down to $89 a day before tax. Well, at the very least, you could you don't have to just spend open to close the entire day to get your money's worth. Yeah, $89 a day, 3-day pass to three different resorts. I mean, three different parks. Assuming there's enough for you to do without spending extra money, that's not a bad value. Still not great, but also not that bad. Morning Madness. I entered Magic Kingdom about 15 minutes after it officially opened, and a number of rides already had extensive lines based on the wait times shown in the official My Disney Experience app. Had I paid to stay, quote, on property at a Disney owned hotel, I could have entered the park 30 minutes early before long lines formed. Those who stay at the most expensive Disney hotels get extended time to enjoy the parks in the evenings on select nights. Where to stay is all about weighing trade offs. The perks that come with staying at Disney's hotels, including free transportation to the parks, can make a huge difference on a busy day. Disney has five value hotels that start in the mid $100 range per night, but many of its resorts can be pricier than off-site options, though parking or taking a taxi to the park adds costs too. Getting to the park early proved to be the best move I made all day. I opted to head toward rides with low wait times: Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I pretty much breezed onto those, and all three proved extremely popular later in the day based on the wait times shown in the park's app. Within roughly 4 hours of entering the park, I crossed half of the must do attractions off my list. Well, that's half the list already. I really don't know what else to say here because I'm trying to recall from my experience the two times I've been to Disney World what exactly to say. Because I know for a fact that Magic Kingdom, we did not go in right when they opened because that was the day we arrived from my grandparents' place. I don't want to say too much about how far they are from Orlando, but let's just say it did take a little more time, and that's why we stayed until Magic Kingdom closed. Compare that to Hollywood Studio, no, Epcot. Was the second day, and then we spent the late afternoon, early evening in the hotel, the Art of Animation Resort. Decent place. Then the third day we went to Hollywood Studios, and then went back to my grandparents' place. Yeah, I can't really speak too much about all this because my memory is a little blurry from 2006. I just remember Power Rangers show that I never got to see, Muppet Vision 3D, which I hear they're now closing, getting annoyed by It's a Small World, and that my sister and mother got to ride a trial run of Expedition Everest, because that's when they were building it. Anyway, getting back to the article, the lunchtime rush. I opted to eat lunch later to try to miss some of the crowds. Before lunch, I took a ride on It's a Small World and did a princess meet and greet. Turns out, there never really is a break in the crowds for these attractions because a lot of other people have the same idea. Even though I visited on one of the busiest days of the year, with peak spring break crowds, the food lines moved fast. My Chicago-style hot dog and Diet Coke from Casey's Corner cost about $20, but there was no seating available. Had I dined at a nearby restaurant with table service and air conditioning, the cheapest entree would have cost me $26. Uh, was that Chicago-style hot dog and Diet Coke the cheapest option possible? Or did you just choose the quick service restaurant so that you could have a, I guess, higher end experience compared to the cheapest full service option? If any of you watching know more about this than I do, like, again, my information is outdated by about, my last experience at Disney World was over 12 years ago now, so obviously my personal experience is very dated. I bet a lot of this is probably what it is now because of inflation. Finding some place to eat my meal was tough. Disney World regulars often joke about using trash cans as tables, but that can be a necessary evil on busy days. I eventually resorted to sitting on the ground to give my body a break. That does not sound very safe. That sounds like an accident waiting to happen. Pro tip: Passy Monken, founder of travel agency Mouse Fan Travel, recommends viewing the shows in front of Cinderella Castle as an alternative to meet and greets. It's a nice little break in the day and a great way to see favorite characters without a long wait, she says. I'm guessing just to see them in person. That has nothing to do with the meet and greet. Because you don't get to interact. The trade off is you don't get to interact with the character. Personally, if I were in there, I'd probably like test the limits of their ability to act by asking them questions. Like I'd Probably ask Tiana Star Wars questions. I only thinking Tiana because Jacob brought her up in the article early and had the picture with her. Or I'd probably ask one of them if they think the Earth is flat. I'd have to go a little further back for when I say further back, I mean further back in time, like to a princess from an earlier period of time, like Jasmine. Assuming Agrabah is not actually the post-apocalyptic dystopia that fan theories say it is, I'd probably ask the Jasmine actor, is the Earth round or flat? Really just to test the limits of their acting. Like, that might be a fun little thing to do, is all. That's just a random thought I had. We didn't do many character meet and greets at my experience. I met Stitch when I was 9, and I think I didn't really care much for the character meet and greets when I was 16. I was more focused on the rides and such. Anyway, parade positioning. I chose to wait for the Festival of Fantasy parade near my lunch spot in Main Street, USA. This turned out to be a questionable call on my part. I staked out my position around 2:40 p.m. before the parade began making its way through the park at 3 p.m. I had to wait nearly 45 minutes for it to pass by, a lengthy stretch that feels even longer when you're standing in the sun. When it ended, I was among hundreds of people rushing for our next rides. I joined the line for our Seven Doors Mine Train, one of the most popular on my list. The sign advertised a 65-minute wait, but it took more than 70 minutes to get to the front of the line. And there he is, staking out his parade spot. Pro tip: many of the park's dining locations offer free cups of ice water. I regularly filled my water bottle there. You can also save time and money by bringing your own food, which Disney allows. I packed protein bars, which came in handy later in the day when I was hungry and long lines. Now you're speaking my language, Jacob. Honestly, I would not have even bothered with the rest of the food. Like, I would have just brought, again, 2 protein bars, 3 cheese cracker sandwich packs. I would have taken the L on eating that day. I mean, I would have still drank water because I'm not stupid. But maybe I would see how long I could go with that. Or I'd probably like drink it in smaller bursts. Like, I would not take this with me because it's 32 ounces. Yes, I could hold a lot of water, but I think I'd rather bring like a 9 or 10 ounce cup I could quickly fill, consume the contents of, and then move on with my day because I would also want to make sure I don't have to use the bathroom all that much. But yeah, I remember catching a parade or two. Like when I was 9, I remember one of the Peter Pan kids, uh, I forget his name, Wendy's brother, shushed me. Like went up to me and shushed me during one of the parades. I took a little offense to it at the time or was confused, but now I know it was all part of the act. Anyway, afternoon cool down. I deviated from my list of must-do rides to see Mickey's Philhar Magic, a 3D film featuring hit songs from Disney movies. The 12-minute show let me rest my tired legs and provided a much-needed dose of air conditioning. Sounds like the joke about the Carousel of Progress being somewhere people can sit down to cool down. Although, I personally enjoyed that show, I'm not gonna lie. I liked seeing the Walt Disney's vision for the future and the song. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Sorry, I'm trying not to perform the song too closely to it because I don't want to get copyright issues on this video. Next up was a classic Disney snack, Dole Whip for $6. Sitting in Adventureland and eating the frozen pineapple concoction gave me more time to recharge after going full throttle. Had I planned better, I would have enjoyed it while waiting for the parade, killing two birds with one stone, as travel agent Lizzie Reynolds suggests. Again, me personally, I would have just taken the L on the food. There's a joke I've seen on some of the reels that come up in my feed about theme parks where Disney World's the only place you can walk. You can get your 10,000 steps and somehow gain weight because of the food. Evening Blues. Two of Magic Kingdom's most popular rides, Peter Pan's Flight and Space Mountain, broke down the day I was there. Their lines were long when they reopened, and I had to wait for an hour for each one. Hey, at least you got to ride them. Splash Mountain was closed the time I went there in 2013, or it's now called Tiana's Bayou Adventure. No, wait, that actually was no real loss to me because I mentioned before I didn't like getting wet around that time. So rides where you will get wet were not an option for me. The last time I went on the Boston Tea Party at Canopy Lake Park, I think I was in either elementary school or very early middle school. I just know that 8th grade onward, there's no way in hell I would have gotten on that because if you haven't been to Canopy Lake Park, the Boston Tea Party is a ride where you will get soaked. Like, it's so wet and wild. You get soaked just standing outside of it. There is a literal splash zone for it. Anyway, getting back to the article. Some diehards will sit around for an hour or more for a spot to watch the nightly fireworks. But I escaped out a vantage point 30 minutes before they started. My view is obstructed, but still enjoyable. My biggest miscalculation of the day was trying to ride the Tron Light Cycle Run coaster after the fireworks finished around 9:30 p.m. I hoped to have time to spare after for one more ride. That didn't happen. In total, I missed over a dozen rides and attractions during my day, including classics based on Dumbo and Winnie the Pooh. Pro tip: Disney lets people join the lines for attractions until the final minute before the park's official closing time. If you're in the queue, then you can stay in it and ride. I should have enjoyed other rides with shorter waits after the fireworks, and then joined the line for Tron right before closing. And that's the end of the article. Should I ask Jacob more questions? Nah. Well, you get the idea. Wait, did he specify exactly how much he spent during that day? The total amount? I don't think he did, so let's run the numbers. $365 for the 2-day pass. Morning Madness. So 385 after lunch. $391 after the Dole Whip. Okay, $391 to go to Disney World, to go to Magic Kingdom, to get lunch and a snack. Is that a good ROI? It depends on how much you enjoy the theme parks. And of course, in my case, it would depend on how many rides I would fit on because of my height and weight. And also depends on how many rides are operational or not. Like, sometimes you're going to have rides not work during the day. I don't know what else to say. Like, again, when I went in 2013 to Magic Kingdom, Splash Mountain, as it was called at the time, was down for the day. I got to ride Thunder and Space Mountain a healthy amount of times. But yeah, ultimately, I don't think $391 is worth it for that because there is so much more that I could buy that I could get more of a long term return on. For $391, I could make my backyard nicer. I could debug it, if you will. I mean, keeping out squirrels and other wildlife, like the wild turkey I told you about, might be a little more difficult. But honestly, I think I'd rather spend that money on video games. Okay, let's do the math. About $70 each for games. Let's just assume that for the time being. 60 if I decide to just get Switch 1 games I hadn't gotten around to. That's about about 75 after the sales tax here in Massachusetts. 75, 150, 300. Yeah, I could buy 4 games. I could buy 4 new video games and then still have enough movie to rent a brand new movie and then just buy some groceries to, or no, instead of groceries, getting some, no, I would stick with the groceries because I can make better versions of the thing because a lot of restaurant food is overly salty and I could still make my own thing. I could get way more entertainment out of those 4 video games and then still have enough for a night in at home with something a little more premium. But that's just me. I'm kind of a simpleton, and if I'm being honest, the theme parks aren't really worth it in my opinion. If I had to go to a theme park, I would go to Universal because I've been hearing that Disney has been neglecting their theme parks recently, not to mention, as a fan of Harry Potter and Nintendo, I would love to go to the Wizarding World and to, what is it, Super Nintendo Land. So I'm going to leave it here for the video. You let me know in the comments down below if $391 was a good deal that Jacob got, or if he should have taken that money and gotten something that could get him more long-term entertainment rather than just one day. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for daily videos, and I'll see you soon.